peace parks are sure to give you a copy.
Where are they based? In the Netherlands?
Stellenbosch, South Africa.
Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
You can give me their email address. Okay, so can you show me with your hand?
It's just the hatched area. It includes Magadi Pans in Botswana, the Okavango Delta, including Moremi, Chobe in Botswana. It includes a chunk of Angola, this section here, the West Zambezi GMA and Swamingwezi National Park in Zambia. It includes Kafue National Park in Zambia and the game management areas around the park. And then it includes Lake Kariba and the parks Matuza-Donna and some other parks, Wangi National Park in Zimbabwe. It looks a bit like an ink blot.
And how many square kilometers is it in total?
Oh, we could get that information here. A lot. Do you know? 250,000 square kilometers. I'd just be guessing.
But it's a very, very big transfrontier conservation area.
Yeah.
Okay, so today is October the 10th. We are in Katima Mulilo, 9:36 in the morning. And we are here with Cory Murphy, that's right?
Carol Murphy.
Carol Murphy?
Yeah.
Okay, Carol Murphy and Alfred Chibongo. Carol, you are with the organization that you're working with. What is it called?
I'm currently contracted to Conservation International, which is US based. We have an office in Stellenbosch and they have a section supporting the transfrontier conservation areas in Southern Africa. And I work for that section. And we've got some field-based activities which promote transboundary community conservation, particularly between Botswana, Namibia and Zambia.
So you are specifically focused on the transfrontier conservation area. You're
Yes.
focusing your project. Okay.
Yes.
And you, Alfred?
Just a staff in MAT,
Which is
working for Babata National Park.
the Ministry of Environment and Tourism, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me move the camera because it doesn't include you both.
But he used to be the manager of Kasika Conservancy. You know that, Alfred. He was the manager of Kasika Conservancy, which was where CI worked a lot. So Alfred knows a lot about this TFCA stuff from the very beginning, 2003, hey? Yeah.
Alfred, would you mind moving your chair a little bit closer to Carol? Thank you so much. This helps. Okay, so I am told that already there are no fences. That in a way the area is a full. I mean, game can come and go in all this proposed transfrontier conservation area, right?
Yeah, you're right, but they cross international boundaries and the rules are different there and there's very different management of natural resources. So the whole idea of the TFCA is trying to get harmonization of wildlife management with communities and governments across the international borders.
And what is the status of when did it begin and how far has it come?
So it's been a long-standing idea, I think, for the last maybe 10 years. But the picture Alfred is showing, I'm not sure, were you here at the signing ceremony, Alfred?
Oh, in
Big Falls.
No, I wasn't there.
There's actually...
There was Lucius and maybe Johnny Kokota.
Okay, from Kasika. But this shows some photographs here of the signing ceremony. The MOU was signed in December 2006 by the environmental ministers from the 5 countries, and that was a big day to formalize this TFCA.
And have you a copy of that document?
The MOU, I do actually.
Oh, could
I've
I
got lots
please?
of technical papers I can...
Could I please have a copy? Okay. And
Thanks. Fall into the flower bed.
it's digging. Your chair is.
Yeah.
Okay. So in 2006, That's the latest and most official document so far is a memorandum of understanding. Correct?
As far as I'm aware, but in Zambia they're more advanced of the 5 countries, and they've produced their plan for their component of the CASA TFCA. So they have their technical documents, what they would like to do in the TFCA, and that was produced this year. I think the other 4 countries have to catch up on that.
How do you call this document? Their management plan?
It's an integrated development plan for the Zambian component of CASA, and each country will produce their own plan, and then they'll sit together and work together to implement their plan.
So really the job to be done is a common management strategy, because there are no fences, the wildlife can come and go, but what they want to do is an integrated management plan. Is that
yes,
right?
I mean, perhaps not one for the whole area, it's too big, but look at how where the different countries meet, where the international boundaries are, how they can do wildlife management that best meet the needs of the animals as well as the people. And it's such a big area, I think it's going to have to be broken down into smaller chunks. And the area where CI has been operating is the Quandary River Corridor, which is one section, and have been looking at how to get transboundary cooperation between 3 or 4 different countries, which is extremely difficult, but you've got to start somewhere. Yeah.
And what would you say are the biggest hurdles to consolidating this transfrontier conservation area?
Do you want to add anything, Alfred? Biggest hurdle? I think for me personally, it's a SADC supported initiative. It's a government initiative, and we all know governments are slow. There's a lot of bureaucracy. You've got 5 governments, you've got different languages, you've got countries like Zimbabwe, and I think if we sit back and wait for the government to do everything, it's not going to happen. So that's why the community and the NGO need to go ahead and do the work they've been doing for many years. People have been doing transboundary projects. So carry on with what they're doing, hopefully get additional funding. There's a lot of donor interest. There's 7 European countries, including the German Development Bank, the Swiss, the French, Norwegians, very interested in this concept. So there's a lot of resources potentially available. So I think to tap into that, you'll have to wait for the governments to do all their signing and their meetings, but carry on doing what you can on the ground. Yeah, eventually a treaty will be signed, but that might take 5 years.
But Alfred, do you think that there is political opposition to a project such as this one?
I don't know really, but it might happen. But otherwise, what Cairo has mentioned, that's the only thing on the spot. Because all 5 countries, whether it's 5 countries, have come together. The ministers were involved, which means that's the part of the government, without knowing what will happen in future. But they are at the same track to harmonize the laws, maybe to change some of the things so that they can work together in the same scenario. So that there should be no people who are saying, no, us we don't know this, but they are coming together at the same point in order to manage tourism, wildlife, and also for the benefits of their people within that context of the CASA.
So let's, as far as I am hearing, can you move your chair a little bit closer?
It's just move out of the floor.
What Carol also is mentioning is very important, because that one also can cause a delay. Because there's many different government structures, especially in Africa. Some they might delay for some other political reasons, we don't know, but some they might say, no, we are keen to do this. Then on that area, maybe that's where the delay can happen. But when the NGO gets in, maybe to put fundings and other things to help the government, things can go faster. Because there can be a problem in Namibia, then they can say, if that's a problem, let's have a workshop and iron out some problems which are in, then and see the way how we can move forward.
Yeah, it sounds to me that really there is no opposition.
Yeah.
That it's moving slow, but it's moving forward.
Yeah, but for now,
are there maybe local communities that do not want this to happen? Is there anybody that does not want this to happen?
Yeah, I think individual people, there have been power struggles over potential resources coming in, and certainly in my experience in Zambia. But I think a big problem with this TFCA, it's a structural flaw in these transfrontier conservation areas, and that they are driven by governments based in the capital cities, which are far away, Gaborone, Lusaka, Windhoek, Harare, Luanda. And unless they get local people, a local office, it's going to be hard for this to be a localized project. And there's no way in the other TFCAs that the communities, the local people, have a strong voice in decision making. It's ministerial committee level, which it's hard to get local people to provide input at that level. But I think it could be something that's changed here, because there are so many communities, there's so many organized communities with the community-based natural resource management program in this part of the world, that there really is space for a community committee at a high level from the 5 countries to actually have a decision-making role. And yeah, certainly in the pre-feasibility study that has been picked up. There was a very good study done in 2005. Did a background survey, but whether that will be taken forward by the governments, I'm not sure it'll happen without some local lobbying. NGOs.
Yeah. Wow, it's a lot better than I thought. What are the benefits that a transfrontier conservation area like this would mean, in the sense of what is happening now that will not be happening when it's consolidated, when it's fully consolidated? What do you think, Alfred?
On behalf of tourism, there's a lot of issues, especially like a migration issue, because they believe that if this is harmonized, maybe people who are flying from abroad, maybe they should be given a uni visa to visit all the countries at the same time without stamping in and out. And what that's what also people are suggesting, because it makes delays on borders. Then maybe just to cut those things. So a person, if he flies from Italy, then he's having that visa, he can visit Angola and Namibia at the same visa at the same time. That's some of the issues which are in, but without knowing, are they going to implement it? But it has been picked up by the local people.
And as far as wildlife is concerned, is there going to be a change for them in this regard once the CASA is consolidated?
Well, I hope with the migratory animals like elephant and buffalo, they move through a number of countries, and the idea is to try and get management of the migratory wildlife to be the same in the different countries. So to, for example, improve anti-poaching in some of the countries that still have a lot of poaching of elephants. So to allow the elephants to feel free to move back into their old migration areas. And the rivers are particularly important. The river corridors, the Kavanga River, the Kwandu River, and the Zambezi River, the Chobe River, to free those up for elephants moving back to repopulate, for example, Kithiwi National Park in Zambia. So we have too many elephants in Botswana. They've been too successful with conservation, and they need space to move out.
And well, I guess there are a great variety of biomes and ecosystems in these. I guess you have woodland, forest savanna, woodlands, arid savanna, moist savanna, wetlands. But is there a predominant biome in this regard?
So we have desert and floodplain. I'm not sure, but I could certainly we could look in the technical documents. I know the Miombo Mapani woodlands there's probably quite a lot of that, particularly north into Angola and Zambia. But it is a great variety of habitat, which is one of the strong features of this, to look at this as a unified area to join the different habitats and safeguard the same habitats in different countries. The river
basins. And there's a lot of human populations within this area. For example, is the entire Caprivi Strip, the entire Panhandle, inside the Casa project?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot
East
of
and West Caprivi.
in holdings, I would guess, and I guess that if this project actually happens, there's going to be areas that are not currently protected, that connect the corridors, that create the corridors, and this also might affect some human settlements, etc.
Yeah, I think that there will, if it's successful, there will be increased animal numbers in community areas where perhaps they didn't have them before. But I think whether you have the TFCA or not, that's happening. We're getting increased migration of buffalo and elephants. Alfred knows because his home 10 years ago there were no buffalo, and now he has a resident herd there.
Really?
Yeah, exactly.
I think the idea is to get local people to benefit from their wildlife and tourism, and Namibia has been really successful with the Conservancy program. The other countries do have similar programs, but they're not as successful for a number of reasons. So to try and help the other countries to catch up so the benefit flow to local people increases. And particularly I think in Zambia and Angola, Botswana and Zimbabwe have very strong community-based natural resource management movements already, but to strengthen what they're doing as well, and to share information. A big thing here is communities from different countries to get together and share information about what they're doing, share skills, and that's happened a lot in the past. It can happen a lot in the future.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Is there a question that I should ask that I am missing, or an issue that I should touch that you would consider of particular relevance?
Well, for me, the TFCAs in the past have been criticized because they raise local people's expectations and then they don't deliver. And I think it's still a problem with the CASA TFCA, is that it's a big idea. Things have to start in a small way and they have to start soon. If to get people's interest and their buy-in, there has to be small projects coming. The funding has to be unlocked and it has to be delivered in a coordinated way to the different countries, different communities. And I think that it's a big challenge at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And what has been specifically, I'm going to ask both of you these questions, but you, Alfred, what has been your involvement in this project? She was saying that things have to start in a small way, locally. So I would very much like to learn the small things that are happening. Can you tell me a little bit about your participation in this?
Yeah, the participation was very good, because we started at the local people at the local level to form a conservancy in the area. But during the process, people also had the idea that if we are doing something here in our area, what about our neighbors? Then that's where it is touching this trans-frontier conservation area into transboundary ideas. That's what Carol has mentioned, that it was done before and it needs also to be done in the future. There was some meetings of collaborating meetings with Botswana, Zambia, and also Namibian people through the local level people to discuss the idea, how are they going to manage their resources in their areas.
And how did people react?
It was, in first instance, people they reacted negatively, but as time goes on, when they realized that there were benefits coming to them, then it was a positive achievement, especially in Namibia.
Mm-hmm. And what are these benefits that are coming to them?
They are benefiting through trophy hunting. The money they are having, they can also do their own things at the local level. They don't wait for people to support them, or they can run their project independently.
So trophy hunting is the best, is the greatest benefit that is so far for them?
Trophy hunting, for example, today you were in a community campsite. Those are the benefits of the
community campsite.
This community campsite where they can grow money from tourism, and there's also trophy hunting.
Uh-huh. And your participation in this grandiose
Well, I started out
project.
with Alfred 2003 in Kasika Conservancy, which is Alfred's home, and it's opposite the world famous Chobe National Park in Botswana. And because elephant numbers have increased there, the elephants now come across into the communal land, the floodplain, to graze. And they come often at night and they go back to the park during the day, so they're safe. But it's put a lot of pressure on that community because they now have to deal with high elephant numbers. Sometimes they stay during the day, so it's a threat to human life. And there's also the buffalo that have come across for the floodplain grazing. So two NGOs, Conservation International and IDNC, got together and they worked on a project in Kasika and in Palila. And the main outcome of that has been a transboundary community tour guiding operation, which Alfred used to run. He is a trained tour guide and a very good one, which is benefiting from the Botswana tourists from Kasane who then go across to Namibia to walk with the local guides on the Namibian floodplain, and local people get jobs, the Conservancy gets money. And in Palila Conservancy, which is next to Kasika, they actually earned 26,000 Namibian dollars last year, and they could buy a engine for their boat. So there are benefits in that way. Recently I've started working in Zambia on the Kwandu River corridor, and again it's a transboundary project working with conservation farming and growing chilies to deter elephants, to chase the elephants out of the fields. And that's really good for elephant conservation. The conservation farming, you have very small fields, very intensive, so you destroy less elephant habitat. If you grow the chili, you can then protect your field from the elephants. So it's been a really good thing to do in an area where you want to benefit the elephants as well as the people, because they get more food, they can protect their crops.
Well, so the elephants don't like chili.
Not at all, no. They have a sense of smell and taste, apparently 100 times stronger than ours. And I'm sure you've seen the the elephants running away from the chilies.
Yes.
Alfred's seen it himself.
Tell us what happens.
I don't know what really happens with the elephant, but the way if you put this, you burn the chili, if that smoke hits the elephant, actually they run away. I don't know what's there or how do they feel when they smell that chili smell.
They run away.
Yeah, they run away screaming, making a lot of noise. And maybe they can take even a month. They cannot go to that area.
And but so you have to burn the chili.
Yeah, you have to burn the chili or smear it on the poles or make some these towels and tie it around the fence or around the field or your home if you don't want.
But just the chili pepper growing there is not enough. It has to be.
Yeah, dried and crushed.
Yeah,
And-
dried and crushed.
Because the elephants are clever, they will try eating the chili once, but they won't a second time. And if they want your crops, they will walk over the chili plants. So I know in Mexico you have a lot of chilies.
Yeah, that's why there's no elephants.
Because they've got a lot of chili in Mexico.
It's a big place for chili.
Yeah,
Oh.
we eat very spicy food.
Okay.
Nice and spicy. So you say this Kavango Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area would be the largest in the world,
Yeah,
involving 5 people.
five
Five
countries.
5 countries, I'm sorry. And you say there's a lot of interest from the European community in this project?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I read an article saying, is the Casa project a white elephant? Is it not going to happen?
Well,
What do you think?
That article was written a few years ago. I know because I was at the workshop where that was discussed.
Uh-huh.
I think it's still a real issue. Is it just an idea? Are the consultants getting rich? Are the governments just having workshops? You know, what is actually going to happen to benefit local people on the ground? And I hope it's not a white elephant. I hope it helps the real elephants and the people. But I think it's something to be vigilant. You know, where's the money going? Who's making the decisions to ask those questions?
Yeah, but from this interview, my feeling is that it's moving forward.
Yeah.
I really get a sense that it's moving
I don't think
forward.
it's a white elephant, is it?
Sorry. But even though there's a lot of things to be ironed out, but it's on the track to go.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are really frustrated that 2006 they signed the MOU, 2008 now, what has really happened? You know,
It's
Zambia's done something, but at the community level, you know, what has happened? Have there been any extra resources coming in? I don't know. Yeah.
That's where I was having a feeling on Carol's point that if the NGO could maybe, because the NGOs they are fast to respond or to react on something, if they can have a right platform with the government, if they see that the government somewhere they are slacking, then they can also involve the community, then they can talk with the government. See here, these are the issues and this is what we are waiting for you to do. Through the community to have a strong voice in the government. Then maybe they can do something faster. But if you just sit and wait for the government to decide, it can take 3 to 4 years. They are seated there and that's when they open the other page. They say, oh no, we signed the MOU for Kaza. Then, okay, let's look on it while it's maybe 3 years down. So maybe to create a right platform from the beginning on the community level so that they can also have a voice to talk with the government on some of the other issues. Because this TFCA is affecting the local community. The local communities are the people who are going to benefit, which means it's their own project. If it's their own project, they have to be involved really in the context.
Yeah. So there are a lot of parties involved. I mean, communities, NGOs, governments. Who is the weaver? Who is weaving this? Who would you say is the person that, or the organization that is pushing this forward? Coordinating, yes.
Well, there is a secretariat in Gaborone currently. It's part of the SADC secretariat. There are a couple of people there, but they're very understaffed. And the secretariat moves every 2 years. I think it'll go to Namibia next year. But they definitely need more capacity at that level to do the coordination, I think. And as Alfred said, perhaps to have some lobbying watchdog organization that goes and asks questions. You know, what are you doing? Where's the funding? I think there's huge potential for gatekeeping to go on here, for people to keep the information to themselves where the money is. And it needs to be transparent and well coordinated, so resources are used in the right places and used fairly.
What is the name of this coordinating agency?
Well, it's the SADC, the Southern African Development Community, SADC, SADC. The Secretariat for SADC is based in Gaborone, and they have a couple of people there working on this TFCA. Actually, the main guy at the moment is Sadir Modisi. Have you met Sadir?
No.
He used to run the Botswana parks, and he also played soccer for Botswana. He's a interesting person, but he's just one, and he has maybe one admin support person. So
Would you please?
I could probably give you his email address.
Oh, and his phone. I might just go up to Gaborone to have a talk with him.
Yeah, no.
Ask a few questions.
Yeah. I mean, I'm funded by the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation.
Setswana.
Yes, yeah. The Swiss are very interested in this transboundary concept, and they're also quite critical. So I think I can give you the details of the Swiss donor agency. To talk to them, I think would be really good, because they're interested in SADC and what's happening there.
Yeah, that would be great. And the political turmoil in Zimbabwe at the moment, I guess that can throw things back for a while in that country, regarding environmental. Well, as far as I know, political instability is never good for conservation, although there are some people who argue in the opposite direction.
Well, it's probably why that corner of Angola with all the landmines is in a good way, because it's got the landmines in it still. So Zimbabwe, I think they still, I'm amazed the country's still running. There's still people there. They still come to meetings. It's I don't think it obviously would be much better if it wasn't a destabilized country. But they're very capacitated people, and they're keeping going with what they can do. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's my experience. Angola, I think, is difficult because Luanda is so far. It's a country itself that's just come out of major war. There's a whole lot of political things going on. I'm told it's run by the generals, who make the decisions. So how this gets filtered down to doing something at this scale, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Alfred, how do you feel the Namibian tourism authorities, I mean, Environmental and Tourism Ministry is what instructions have they given? Can you tell us a little bit about how they see this endeavor?
I think on the Namibian government, they are very, very keen to work on this project because there's also these parks which are involved in, and they are also involved in the meetings. As far as the minister, the former minister who was representing them before, they signed the document. But coming to the actual thing on the ground, that one we don't know because it lies in the top guns of the government. We don't know what is there. But the way it looks like, they are very, very keen in conservation because they are pushing the CBNRM program in communities, which means CBNRM program is also involved in Kaza. That's their target, to see every individual, every community in Namibia, they are benefiting from the resources they have, and also to change the scenario of the people in the country so that if they see all the resources, they should not see the resources for the government, but it's the resources for the people of the Republic of Namibia.
That's really good. Okay, I have one more question, and then I want to ask you if there is something else you would like to add. So my question is, this Peace Parks Foundation, can you tell us a little bit about it?
As far as I know, it was started by 3 individuals, 2 South Africans and the Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, and they've got a lot of funding from the Netherlands lottery. I think they have an investment fund to fund the office in Stellenbosch. There's also Anton Rupert, a very rich man in South Africa, and Nelson Mandela, who needs no introduction. But they started this NGO to support the development of TFCAs in Southern Africa. And they've been doing this for some time now, I don't know how many years, and there are a number of TFCAs around, particularly I think the strongest ones border South Africa, because that was where the interest came. I think there's one between South Africa and Botswana. It's called the Kalagadi Transfrontier Park, is the oldest one, and there for many years, way back, the people running the park, they just used to work together because it made sense. And then when the time was right, they could get the political support for the Transfrontier Conservation Area. But they do supply resources, they do mapping. This map was produced by them. And they also get funding, which is made available for implementation of the TFCAs, and they employ people in that country. And what's important about the peace parks is that the premiers of each country, the president is a patron on the Peace Parks Foundation. So it has high government approval, this NGO. It doesn't need to go knocking on the doors. The doors are wide open. So it has that advantage, yeah.
Okay. If there is something else you consider it important to add, I would be very glad to include it in this interview.
Well, I think there are a lot of critics of this TFCA concept, and a lot of people say it's neo-colonialism, people coming to colonize African countries again, which I think it's important to look at, that criticism. And yeah, in the literature there's been a lot of criticism from academics and conservationists, and a lot of bad press in some of the TFCAs that have been developed before. I think it was originally an easy concept, park to park. Park in one country to a park in another country, and we know that's easy, it's the same land use, it's government land. But when you have different land use, particularly communal land, so you'd have a park in one country, communal land in another country, it's not easy to do, it's much more challenging, and that's why I think this TFCA is a big challenge. You have many different kinds of land uses.
So the main criticism for TFCAs is neo-colonialism, would that something,
Well,
or what are there
or
other
a top-down
arguments?
approach, I think. Top-down approach, that it's promoting wildlife and not people. I think that's been some of the criticism. Yeah.
Mm. For a lot of people, it's really hard to understand that some people are more concerned about wildlife than about people.
I think maybe there's a bit confusion to people. That's why they don't understand. People have got a feeling if maybe there was a change in the government policy, I don't know, maybe I'm just presuming. Because elephants, when they cross, they do sometimes kill. They can kill Kero's kid.
They
Then-
killed your kid?
No, they
it's
could.
just an example.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then what happens is that people has got a feeling that if the elephant, they know that a person has got no price. If an elephant kills a person in the community, then that elephant, if it's sold, maybe it's just the whole that money should go to that family, that mourning family, so that maybe they can invest or help other people. That's the feeling of the people. Then what's happening now, if the elephant has killed the person, then they can shoot that elephant, then the money goes to the community at large, and maybe they can just shoot it to remove it. Those are the concerns of the people. If there can be some issues, if an elephant kills a person, then if that elephant is shot, then that money can be given to the family. I think people, they can understand a bit. But now, it's a different thing. That's why they are saying it's an issue of colonialism, something like that, because they don't understand how it happens. Those are some of the critical issues involved in. But we don't know how the government can do on that, because it differs from government to government.
You do get two worlds colliding. You get first world tourism, conservationists, and third world people, and there's often a bit of a clash. Yeah. Can I talk about IRDNC?
Please.
I used to work for IRDNC. It's an NGO in Namibia, Integrated Rural Development and Nature Conservation, and we're actually sitting in their garden. They're the biggest CBNRM NGO in Namibia, and they work in Caprivi and Kunene. So they're one of the main NGOs that are going to be working on implementing this TFCA from Caprivi, from the community level. And they've already been asked by the Zambian authorities to come and assist with community-based wildlife monitoring in Zambia, to bring the good system they have developed here to take it across the border, and started just across the border in Zambia. So you have one community wildlife monitoring system in a particular area that has an international boundary. So yeah, they'll be one of the driving forces. They have transboundary community forums as well, with communities in two different countries but who are neighbors, they're family, they speak the same language, they meet each other anyway, but to strengthen what they're doing through these community forums. And they're looking at things like stopping stock theft together, looking at fire management together, looking at wildlife management together, and these are transboundary issues that don't stop at the border. So yeah, that's my plug for IRDNC.
Oh gosh, it's so wonderful that organizations such as this one exist.
Yeah, it's
Whew.
a very good organization here.
Yeah, I bought these
Magic
crafts.
craft.
I'm gonna say these crafts from a little curio shop they have in Congola.
Yeah,
I love
that's
them.
supported by IRDNC. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What we're doing now, what I'm involved with, why I have to leave to go to Zambia, is to pick. We've got a craft upgrading workshop. So we've used teachers from that sell their craft to Mashi Craft Market, where you went, and we've taken them to Zambia to help the Zambians get organized around their craft, to prepare for when the tourists come. So a lot of sharing of skills, which is great.
Yeah. Well, let me just take a photograph, please, if I may.
That's your book. I just put the Peace Park's website.
Photo of this also. Okay.